And so what we do is we drive the mammography bus to the school. We pay for the substitute teacher.
Okay.
We allow
Wow.
that teacher to come in and get a mammo done. And hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's okay. But if not, we have an AdventHealth hospital right there that's able to care for them.
Welcome to Money Market, a Bank of Tampa podcast. We highlight the businesses, expert business advice, the local economy, and points of interest in the Tampa Bay market. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your favorite podcast. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend or colleague. I am your host, Owen LaFave, the Pinellas County Market President for the Bank of Tampa, Tampa Bay's oldest and largest community bank. Today's guest is Kristen McCall, the president of AdventHealth Foundation, West Florida. I want to make sure I got that right, where she oversees 11 foundations within the AdventHealth West Florida division and a growing 23-person team. Before her tenure at AdventHealth, Kristen was the executive director and market vice president for the American Heart Association in Tampa Bay. She is a 40 under 40 awardee by the Association of Healthcare Philanthropy in late 2019. But more recently, she was the 2025 Tampa Bay Business and Wealth Women Who Win. So I got a winner in my presence. So congratulations there. You earned your bachelor's in advertising and public relations from University of Tampa, which is now UTampa.
Tampa.
So Kristen, welcome to Money Market.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So what I'm really looking forward to this conversation is because we had someone to discuss the healthcare side.
Yeah.
We had someone to discuss healthcare construction, but not someone from the foundation side. So I feel like we're giving our listeners a holistic view of everything that's going on in all aspects of the healthcare industry. So if you could, walk us through your journey of healthcare and philanthropy.
Yeah, and how I got here today.
Yeah.
Fascinating story. So I feel like anybody in the philanthropy sector really never sought out to be in the not-for-profit industry. It's not something that I planned when I went to the University of Tampa or UTampa. I'm still not used to saying it that way. But yeah, so right after college, I got a job at All Children's Hospital, which is now Johns Hopkins. And I'll kind of back it up a little bit. So in college, I was in a sorority, and I happened to be the VP of philanthropy.
Oh, that's where the seeds were planted. Which sorority are you?
Delta Zeta.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it kind of began there. I was really just interested in serving a mission and bringing it home to the why. And so anyways, after I graduated college, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So dream goal was to become a broadcaster, but then I realized very quickly that was not for me.
I could say you have a good presence.
Yeah,
so,
thank you. Yeah.
You could be doing this. We should switch roles.
I mean, I'm happy to interview you now. So graduated college, got a job at All Children's Hospital and loved it. I mean, you get to work for a children's hospital, so who wouldn't want to work there every single day? And I always said, if you're having...
but hard too,
oh my gosh.
Right? The kids are the hardest.
Hardest. And I always said, if you're having a bad day, walk the halls of the children's hospital.
Yes,
and that'll really bring it back home of just how truly grateful you are. But I was there, and it was, at the time, it wasn't Johns Hopkins. It was just all children. So it was a kind of a smaller shop, if you will. And then I had a friend who was at the American Heart Association. And she said, hey, we have this job opening. Why don't you try it? And I was like, okay, I'll interview and see. And boom, I got the job, and I started as a Heart Walk director.
Okay.
And let me tell you, when you start at a Heart Walk director in the American Heart Association,
it's a big job.
It is a huge job, and you are running. You are running a mile a minute. So you are working with corporations. You are hustling. And that's truly kind of where I started my fundamentals of foundation work. I still say American Heart Association provides the best training to fundraisers, and I'm just grateful that I got to kind of start my career.
Do they not have one of the biggest fundraising events in Tampa?
Do.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Heart Walk.
Bigger than LA, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Heart
crazy.
Walk, when I was there, it was about number 2 in the nation.
Okay.
So Dallas is where it's headquartered, so that was number 1. But yeah, I know. And we were about the top 10 heart ball in the nation too, which is pretty fascinating here locally. But Heart Walk director, and then I moved up to VP of Heart Ball. And so I served that gala world for a good bit of time, but I got to work with incredible community leaders like Chuck Sykes, Ken Jones, like the big names in town. And I just adored them. They were incredible mentors. Still are. They're still a part of my personal board, I call it. I nominated them and asked for them to be on it, but they were just incredible. And then from there, the executive director position opened up, and that was ultimately my dream job. I was young at the time, but went after it, got it, and that was that. And then fast forward, my boss who hired me at AdventHealth was on my American Heart Association board.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was Florida Hospital at the time. And American Heart Association is really known to be very tenacious. And so he said, hey, do you have a second after a meeting? And in my head, I'm like, oh, gosh, what do we do? I'm thinking, we were just too competitive or too, trying to hustle too hard there. But yeah, he told me about the job. And I was like, I don't know about that. I had my dream job. I actually came home and told my husband, how do I politely decline from a board member? And he's like, you don't. You keep, pursuing.
But he was on the board of the American Heart Association.
My boss was, yes.
So how incredible is that, though, that he saw your talent and ability and was like, you're meant to do something else.
Yeah.
Like, there's an opportunity here.
Exactly.
So great compliment to you and good for him.
It was great. It was, here I am today, 7 years later. So it's been a journey, let me tell you, but it's been the most rewarding career that I've had.
Well, tell everybody about the foundation.
Yeah.
What's your work?
So AdventHealth, if you don't know, and I'll kind of back it up there. So because AdventHealth is fairly new to our market space, we're about 15 years old. Okay. And a lot of people at one time said, oh, Florida Hospital, and then they were bought out by AdventHealth, but that's not really the case at all. We were just rebranded. We're a national, not-for-profit, faith-based healthcare system, and we have 55 hospitals nationwide, but we were all called something different.
Okay.
And so what we did is we rebranded to AdventHealth. And so if you come here or Colorado, we're all AdventHealth. So that was essentially that. But our foundation, it's really just such an impactful role. So we provide funding for patients, staff, capital projects, programmatic initiatives, all of the things within the walls of the hospital.
Can you take that a little bit a step further? And I guess for framing, I think people are surprised because they see medical bills.
Yeah.
And they see how expensive those are and think, okay, they have to be making money hand over fist, but the margins are actually, kind of thin, and the foundation helps kind of fill in some of those gaps. So can you talk a little bit about that?
100%. So philanthropy in the healthcare sector is absolutely critical because margins are so thin. You have to think about it. For every dollar that is essentially brought into the hospital, it's reinvested back into the hospital because we're not for profit. And so that it does have a very, very small margin run. Mm-hmm. So that's why you need philanthropy. And so philanthropy is such a wonderful revenue stream. So I'll say for every dollar invested in philanthropy, we get $5 back as an ROI. And so when you compare philanthropy to a normal business unit, it's exponentially more than what you would get back. And so it's critical.
Yeah, that's a great investment.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah. You should say that again out loud to everyone listening.
As a banker, I can appreciate that. It's a good ROI.
Yeah, right. So we're really there to push the plans forward and really launch strategic plans and visions that healthcare system or that one entity might not be able to deploy.
What about any projects that have impacted the Tampa Bay area specifically?
Yeah, so we have a few, but I think the one that is most rewarding to me because we actually just funded it is our mammography bus. And so when I think about how we've impacted this community, which I'm born and raised here as well. So when I think about what we're actually impacting the community members, the mammography bus, it just is such a sweet story and was such a sweet funding priority. So mammography bus, it was 100% fully funded by philanthropy.
Okay.
And what it does is it travels around our community. And women are very busy.
Yes.
And so we wanted to provide that service for them. So primarily we target school systems because our teachers are teaching our kiddos, our loves of our lives, and yet they don't have time to really care for themselves. And so what we do is we drive the mammography bus to the school. We pay for the substitute teacher.
Okay.
We allow that teacher to come in and get a mammo done, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's okay. But if not, we have an AdventHealth hospital right there that's able to care for them. It's pretty incredible.
That's incredible. Layer on that, I didn't know that you paid for the substitute teacher as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're all about the whole person care, mind, body, and spirit. And I think that's what I think AdventHealth is different in that way. I know our marketplace is highly competitive from the healthcare side of things, but when you look at AdventHealth deep down, our mission is extending the healing ministry of Christ. And we're very bold and proud to put that mission forward. And that's what also makes us really unique.
So the 5 times return is pretty exceptional. Mm-hmm. The bus is a great story too. Yeah. But so beyond that, are there any kind of intangible outcomes that are good stories to share that I think would really put light on the foundation's work?
Yeah. So, I mean, outside of the mammography bus, because that's more of that community impact, we have so many remarkable fundable projects that have gone around the West Florida division. But when I'm looking at the West Florida division specifically in like the Tampa area, for AdventHealth Tampa is where I would hone in on. We have funded, from cath labs to actual mammo machines within the K. Meyer Breast Center. We built the Tenasia Center. Part of that is philanthropy funded.
Talk about that.
The Tenasia Center?
Yes.
Yeah. So wonderful family, very generous throughout this community, and very grateful for that family. But we actually cared for Mandeep. And so the story began there. And he was in our care for quite some time, but his family really enjoyed the care that he received. And so they made a transformational gift to our organization. And so now we have the Tenasia Center for surgery. And a big part of that is our neuro center. And so within the Tenasia Center, we really focus on neurology. We have a neuro institute that's being ran by Dr. Oliveira, who I'm obsessed with. He is this like firecracker Cuban doctor who I love. I would send any family member to him. He's remarkable, but he is the leader, the physician leader over our neuro institute. And we do remarkable cases within the Tenasia Center because we have that building.
That's incredible. So how much of the philanthropy is driven by people who have had a personal experience at the hospital versus people that are just giving and caring and want to find a way to give back to the community?
Yeah, great question. So when you look at healthcare philanthropy landscape overall from like a national perspective, we, the healthcare leaders, typically say about 80% of all gifts are given through the vehicle of a grateful patient.
Okay.
Because it makes sense, right? You were in our hospital, you received the care, or your loved one received the care, and you're beyond grateful. And so you have the means to give, and so you give. And so then the remaining 20% comes from community leaders who might want access to care or love their community hospital and want to ensure that it, continues to elevate in the community.
Well, I have been a patient, and it wasn't life-threatening, but I shattered my leg in Wesley Chapel.
Oh my gosh.
Playing ice hockey. And given the severity of the injury, there was some conversation about you might walk with a limp.
Oh my God.
But thankfully, I am
You don't.
100%. Ran a marathon
good.
last year. And
wow.
So thank you to AdventHealth. Shattered it, yes.
Ouch.
I have a lot of hardware in my leg.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad you had a good experience.
It was a good experience. No,
Good,
thank you.
good. I'm so glad.
I'm very grateful.
Yes.
What about untapped opportunities in the local healthcare space that AdventHealth is looking to address?
Oh, that's a loaded
it's
question.
A long list.
I know.
Yes.
I know. I think untapped opportunity. So, there's a big crisis, right, from a workforce development standpoint. I think I saw the last stat. It said by 2030, we're going to be about 100,000 physicians short.
Wow.
And that's scary.
That is scary.
So I know AdventHealth specifically, and I'm sure the other institutions are doing something, but AdventHealth specifically is really investing in that, and we're partnering with our organization. So we have a really great program called Health Care Explorers. And so it's a educational course that we provide the high school student. And it's really opening up their eyes to what healthcare is about. And so they have to come into our facility, they dress up, and they learn about each type of unit and to see if it's a good fit. We also, which really neat, we do these like camps. And so kids will come in and we have this mirror, and you'll stand in front of it, and then it will transform them into what it would look like to be a surgeon or what it would look like to be a nurse,
that's
so
great.
that they can
Yes,
really
they
see
visualize. Yes.
Yeah, and it's really neat. So definitely doing a lot around that workforce development. But then on the other side, the scary side, I would say untapped opportunity for our market specifically is more resources around oncology. So cancer, we know, is on the rise significantly. And so AdventHealth is putting a lot more resources within oncology. We're building a new MOB on AdventHealth Tampa campus, and there will be a big emphasis on cancer.
Okay.
And specifically around that head, neck, and spine, led by Dr. Oliveira. But I think there's a lot of a need that we have to put on for oncology. But Foundation will fund the research, the equipment. We're going to help fundraise for the building, et cetera.
What about technology? Everybody thinks that technology is going to fill a lot of those employment gaps. Are you seeing any opportunity there? Are there those discussions happening, investments being made?
So from a philanthropy side, yes. So AI, and I know everyone's talking about AI. There's courses on AI, et cetera. And I don't know enough about AI. But what I do know is AI is coming in hot with philanthropy and specifically healthcare philanthropy. So when we look at a few different things. One, a lot of not-for-profit shops might not have staff resources. And so there's actually AI-generated fundraisers. And so they will Zoom a donor prospect and have a full-on conversation with them and cultivate them and move them forward and then pass them to a human to then hopefully secure the gift. But I think that's fascinating.
That is fascinating.
I know. And we also have AI technology, and we're starting to dabble in it, but it's looking at our data. And from the data, it's looking at, okay, so I'm looking at you, right? And so what are you going to be passionate about? And now let me tailor the messages that I'm sending you, because I want to, at the end of the day, connect passion with purpose. And so it's really looking at that predictive model and our data and pulling out those types of things, which is fascinating.
That's really fascinating. Mm-hmm. So going back into the operations and the funding mechanism. Mm-hmm. So how do you balance just the need to fund kind of the day-to-day operations that may be supplemented by, the foundation's work towards that kind of big, vision and some of the bigger projects you'd mentioned? How do you balance that?
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I would say our key to success right now is just sustainability. So we have a really great donor pool, we call it, of loyal donors. And so those are the ones that are going to kind of keep us steady. And so create that sustainability for those operational. But then I would say those big pie in the skies is ensuring that our foundation is lockstep with leadership and their strategic vision, plan, et cetera. And that we can locate some of those very wealthy individuals who want to donate to AdventHealth and have a passion for healthcare and might have been a grateful patient, et cetera. So sustainability, and then also just cultivating and identifying the right relationships in the community.
How do you build those relationships outside of just, because I think, and from the outside, it's I'm not in your space, so and I have a very different mindset. Mm-hmm. So I'm in banking. I think finances. My wife is in the philanthropy space, so I have some appreciation for it. But not looking at the donors as kind of a funding financial engine, and humanizing them and building that relationship with them. What's that process like for you?
I would say so. It can be difficult sometimes, but it's our job. Right? But it's who we are at the core. So I always tell my family, friends, I could talk, I feel like, to the wall, right? And create a conversation. And it's really all about relationships. So just being yourself and really connecting with that person, it's just being on the lookout for key interests. I remember I had the toughest, and this was at my American Heart Association days, but I'll never forget it. I had the toughest hospital CEO. I had to get him to love us, get him to give us a big sponsorship, et cetera. And I met with him over and over and over and over. And this guy was just stone cold, was not breaking. And I was like, I'm about to give up here. But I happened to look at his desk, and he had a picture of him and his daughter on the back of a motorcycle.
Okay.
And I was like, I can talk to this. I grew up. My dad always drove a Harley Davidson, and I was like, I can speak your language. And boom, we became instant friends. I still talk to him today. And so that is where I pride myself on, and also our team members. We do a really great job of just being real. We're humans at the end of the day. And just because I maybe want you to donate to our organization, I want to be your friend, and I want to hear what you're about so that I can make the most of our relationship in an impactful way, but then also on the personal side.
Well, I think what's unique in the philanthropy space, for the most part, I mean, no one's getting into it thinking that they're going to be rich.
Right. No.
I mean, your background was like, hey, I want to do something good. This is interesting. Mm-hmm. Most people find themselves there, so they are coming from a place that is mission driven. Mm-hmm. It's passionate. You are relationship building. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you're right. You do have a job. You have an ask. Mm-hmm. In terms of just philanthropy in Tampa Bay. You'd mentioned the American Heart Association, the walk being one of the top in the country. Mm-hmm. A lot of the feedback I get from some philanthropies, we're just not as giving as other communities. Is that a myth? What's your thoughts there? How is philanthropy in Tampa Bay different?
I think that's a big myth.
Okay.
I think we're a very generous community. I mean, we have a lot of competing not-for-profits that are asking for support.
Yes.
Tons. I mean, tons. Whether you want cats or hospitals or anything, you name it. So I think that's a complete myth. We have a community of very, very generous, passionate individuals. And I think because of COVID, we've had a ton of people move here that are really under the radar too. So I think it's just a fascinating community where you have that kind of old timer, right?
Yeah.
That's been here forever, generational, et cetera. But then we also have all this new blood that's moved in that we just need to get to know. So I think that's a big myth. I think there's more to go around.
That's interesting. Has the pandemic changed the way in which people donate?
Yes and no. I think how they give, like the vehicle, I think definitely more digital now.
Okay.
And fast pace. So we have to hit them in their mailbox or hit them online in that digital mailbox, et cetera, or social media, et cetera. So from a fast perspective, I would say. But then also, I think there's been a big spotlight on healthcare because pandemic, we went straight to our healthcare heroes. Everyone wanted to support our healthcare heroes.
Yes.
Everyone wanted to know what it was like on the front line. And I think that has definitely elevated.
I was going to say, was that a windfall at the time?
That was an interesting time. Oh my gosh. I was at a conference last week and someone brought up PPE and I had PTSD because I was like, I have not heard that word in forever. It was a crazy time, but so at this time, AdventHealth, when I took over almost 7 years ago, we were still building. And so we were just friend raising. We were building trust. And then the pandemic fell in our lap. And so we really cut off soliciting gifts because we wanted just to make sure the community knew that, hey, we actually care about you and we are your healthcare provider and let us tell you what's going on within the community versus like, hey, will you support our healthcare heroes? Of course, we had some initiatives, but there wasn't really a big push on our end. And that was really because we were building that culture.
That's really fascinating because at that time, there's also a big need for when you think of, especially in the early stages when we really didn't know, we didn't know how to treat it.
Right.
We didn't know the level of it. So there was a lot of stress on the hospital system.
Yeah.
And to me, it made sense. Like this is a time that we need you to step up and help the healthcare workers, help the hospital system. So interesting approach and kind of backing off that.
I would say it worked for us though.
Yeah.
We were, if you looked at all the AdventHealth foundations throughout the country, we were the #1 fundraising department during COVID. And I think it's because we weren't pushy because everybody was like, they didn't know what COVID was. They didn't know what to do. We're wiping down our groceries. And then, oh my gosh, you have a foundation asking you for money. We were there of like, hey, we're going to have a community partner call. Join in. Listen from our chief medical officer. Let us tell you what we're doing. And here's my cell phone number if you have any questions. And oh, by the way, if you want to support, feel free. So I feel like it really helped us gain trust, but then also raise dollars.
That's really interesting. And you're bringing back some memories because I remember leaving packages outside and spraying them with Lysol.
I know.
The early days were really interesting.
Don't want to go back there.
No, but so you had also mentioned during that period of time, the organization is evolving. You're combining multiple hospitals.
Yeah.
Your team is growing through this period of time.
Yeah.
Can you kind of walk us through that consolidation process and growing the department? The foundation?
Yeah, the foundation. So we're still growing. Let me phrase that. So when I started, it was a very difficult time. It would be difficult for anybody. You have a leader coming in, right? They're inheriting a complete team. They're now going to deploy change. That is like everyone's worst nightmare when they first start. And so when I first started, everyone was so siloed. It was every hospital has a foundation. They have a staff person and a foundation board, but they were all siloed. They were all working somewhat against each other, different brands, different spreadsheets, et cetera. And so our goal was to create this hybrid model where we had a centralized team. But then we also were beginning to regionalize the staff throughout the division so that we had synergy, but we also tailored our approach. And so I think, definitely upped my crucial conversations.
Sure.
Oh, yes.
A lot of difficult conversations.
I love that book, by the way. But it really propelled me as a leader, but then also our foundation. Because what happened was, and I think there's a bus book, and I'm blanking on the title, but it was phenomenal because it's either you're on the bus or you're off the bus. It was really that approach, but it was caring about the person, again, as a human at the end of the day, because it's their livelihood. But now that I've been able to get every single person on the team
On the bus.
on the bus in the right seats with the right culture. I think our team is really special, and I would say we're a team of unicorns is what I tell my team all the time.
Yeah, great.
Mm-hmm.
You've kind of already mentioned it.
Yeah.
But so is there one specific lesson or two that kind of stick out during that period of time that you take with you?
Yeah, I think a hard lesson. I know I talked about crucial conversations. I wish I kind of learned crucial conversations earlier because I came in very naive. I was still a really young leader.
Did you know you were walking into a situation that you needed to change?
Not quite.
Okay.
Not quite. Not quite. Not
Surprise.
quite. I will tell that to Bruce. Yes, the guy who hired me. Yes. Not quite. And so I wish I handled some situations a little bit differently. So I think looking back today, I would tell myself just go a little slower. I think coming from heart, it's like go, 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 fast pace, right? And I wanted to be great. I'm an A-type winner, right? Everyone likes to win, especially when you're in sales or in fundraising.
We're turning this bus around and we're getting on the right way.
Exactly.
Going the right way.
Exactly. And so it just took a little bit longer than I had expected. So I wish I just slowed down a little bit more and gave more intentional thought to how I had some of those conversations.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That is a very common thing. Like people want to come into an organization and make change. And I have been in both of those situations. Yeah. And so thankfully I was able to watch someone struggled with just wanting to move too quickly. So when I had the opportunity, I mean, I had learned already, but so don't beat yourself up for it. I mean,
well, what did you tell them though?
I went in and just listened.
Okay.
I probably 90, 120 days would just listen, and I would find small little wins. I mean, you find areas that you can tweak and move to make them feel like you've got their back and you're doing things, and then just ask a lot of conversations. And through those conversations, I found like people are very revealing. They can kind of tell you what you need to know. They'll tell you the right answers, and if they're coming to you with, "Hey, we should probably do this," whether you agree with it or not, just take it in and kind of build the framework. They're a lot more receptive when you sit down and say, okay, this is what the plan is. Yeah. And I will say, I mean, the only reason I knew that is because I saw other people go down in flames. So, I mean, learning on the fly is hard. So, and here you are, but I mean, you learned those lessons.
I did.
You got great successes. So, you're doing a tremendous job. Yes. So what advice would you give to other nonprofit leaders kind of at that intersection of mission and money and meeting? And it's messy.
It is messy. So if they want to get into the world of philanthropy.
Your world.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to figure out your purpose, your why, right? And so I knew early on, I was fortunate that I wanted to work for a mission. I wanted to be able not to sell a product, but I wanted to sell something that was going to impact others. And so I think that's where it needs to start. And then from there are so many wonderful not-for-profits within this area. And I think people think that a lot of not-for-profits don't afford the lifestyle that some might want, but I would push back on that. I think there's a lot of opportunity within fundraising as a profession, and I think sometimes we don't have the best light that is shown on that. And I would push back really hard because I think there's, again, a lot of opportunity. But I would really just tell them, what is your purpose? And if it is a why, you want a why to be able to push forward and make an impact, then what do you want that why to be? Is it children? Is it the elderly? Is it animals? What is it? And then go forth. And if you're bold, you have to be bold in this industry. And if you can talk to a wall, make friends with anybody, you're going to be successful.
Well, Simon Sinek, another.
I know. I love him too. Love him too.
So your advertising background,
yes.
marketing.
Did nothing with that, but yes.
What's kind of what I wanted to ask. I mean, do you feel that has served you at all? Because I mean, you're trying to reach people and connect with people. Do you think that you saw some benefit from that?
Never been asked that question. I've never done anything with that, so that's great. I would say, so yeah, my parents would be very proud. Yes, I think, great question. I would say yes, because there was a lot of public speaking within that because, right, you have to sell something. Yes. And so I think that really helped me get out into the career world. But I would say, and I know we have our own philanthropy, we call it philanthropy services within the foundation, but it's our marketing and communications department. I I give them a run for their money sometimes, and I kind of, give them crazy ideas, and, they laugh. But I think it is because of that background of where it started. But that's such a fascinating question. I've never been asked that before.
See,
but
so
I think,
you have put it to use.
Yeah, I have.
I have found it interesting. There's other leaders that I don't necessarily think of leadership, and this is, probably some failing on my part, but leadership connected with marketing and advertising. But shockingly enough, there are many, and maybe it is having to be public facing, developing that confidence to be able to do it. In your world, asking, it's hard to ask people for money.
Yeah.
And if you're in that space, you're already doing that.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. What's something most people don't realize about the role of a foundation leader?
Oh, good question. I think so. If you're a fundraiser, I think people probably assume that all we do is go to dinners and events and network, but really it's a very labor-intensive role. I would say, one, we have to be out most nights, most weekends, because we have to cultivate the relationships. We have to be in the places that our people are at, right?
Relationships are not made in the office.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure with your wife, she's out and about all the time. And so it's a really demanding role, especially I have 2 young kiddos, so trying to juggle all of that. But also, it is truly labor-intensive. I'm picking up boxes and moving all the things around. So it's a grueling job, but it's so worth it. I would say in my position, specifically when you look at healthcare leaders, we have to be super nimble. And what I mean by that is we have to wear the hat of a philanthropy executive, but we also have to wear a hat of a hospital executive. So we have to know what's going on within the walls and philanthropy, and we have to manage the key stakeholders internally and externally. And so I think it requires a unique person and a unique skill set to do all of those things.
Yeah, and I will say, so besides my wife's line of business, I'm also in a business that requires a lot of after-hours work.
Yep.
And yeah, so I will get teased. It's like, oh, you have to go to another event.
Exactly.
But it's like, and when I'm there, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Is there something else I would rather do with my Friday and Saturday night?
Maybe.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, probably.
I know.
So you had talked about like mind, body, spirit approach at AdventHealth, but like what makes AdventHealth different in its delivery?
So AdventHealth has such a spiritual part to the way we provide care. So not only is our mission extending the healing ministry of Christ, and again, we put that front and center. We don't hide that mission statement at all. It is embodied in everything that we do. So how we even do onboarding to our physicians, to our clinical team, to our HR department, no matter what type of employee you're coming in, you are oriented into extending the healing ministry of Christ and what that means. And so at the end of the day, we say, AdventHealth says, we provide whole person care. And so what that means is when you come through the doors, and no matter what religion you are, and so that is something that I want to say, no, just because our mission statement is extending the healing ministry of Christ, it doesn't mean that we're going to put it in everyone's faces, because we treat everyone, right? No matter what you look like, what you represent, etc. But if you're open to it, we have a very calming experience that we provide our patients. And so we have a chaplain. And typically when you see a chaplain come into your room, you're like, oh my gosh, it's end of life for me. Right. What am I doing? Where am I going?
Is my will up to date?
Exactly. Yeah. But that's not the case for us. So that the chaplain is there to walk you through your journey, because when you're getting care, when you're going through surgery, you need the mental strength, just like you do the physical strength. And that's what AdventHealth provides. And I'll tell you.
So important.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll tell you kind of a personal story. So my first child, we were on our baby moon, Anna Marie Island. Thank gosh we were close by, but my water broke unexpectedly, and I was 6 weeks early. So we rushed to the hospital, had her. She was in the NICU, and the doctors were like, "You're good to go home." And I'm like, "I am not going without my child." Yeah. And the chaplain came by. And we were crying, and I just said, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to go home. Our baby's here." And it's your first, right?
Yeah, very traumatic.
It's very traumatic, and that whole experience was traumatic. And he said, "It's okay. I will visit her every day, and I will pray over her." And just that, his words just gave me so much just peace and confidence in the care. But I'll tell you, the next morning I went to go visit her, and she had a little angel coin on top of her giraffe.
Oh.
I know. And it was just so sweet and reassuring. And it's not because I work there. He didn't know that. That's just what we do for all of our patients. It's really, again, providing that whole person care and that mental strength if you need it.
That's a great story. I get a little teary-eyed. Did you have one story or a moment that has happened in the foundation that kind of reminded you that, yes, reinforced, this is why I do what I do?
Yes. So I would say a few different things. So why I'm in this position today, because there's been a lot of hard days where I'm like, oh man, did I make the right decision? But looking at the team that has been created and the impact that we're making within our community, it has been, again, so worth it every step of the way. Some tears have been shed, but mostly laughters and frustrations, etc. But that has truly been my aha moment of okay, this position was really meant to be. But I would say on the opposite side, the patient side, so kind of two things. One, I saw it firsthand. So both of my parents were diagnosed with cancer back in 2023.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. So I got to see it from a whole new perspective. And it was truly eye-opening. One, from just being the caregiver, but then two, what foundation provided them. Was just incredible. And I got to, again, just see the impact in a different way. Because, a lot of times you get stuck in the process, right? Okay, another gift, another gift, another gift, another gift. But it's really affecting people. And so to be able to see that firsthand was really powerful.
Oh, I'm sure. What about a bold goal that you think you want the foundation to achieve within the next 5 years?
Well, I'm really bold, so I will just put this out. I always say, "Go big or go home." That's my motto.
That's a great motto.
Mm-hmm. So
big, hairy, audacious goal.
Exactly.
Right?
You have to have one. I really want to be the national leader within healthcare. So when you look at all healthcare philanthropy shops, I want to be one of the top 10 in the country, raising the most amount of dollars and impacting the most amount of individuals.
How are you going to get there?
Well, one step at a time. We need to hire more staff. That's one.
Yeah.
But we just need to continue doing what we're doing to build the relationships. We're working with amazing community leaders who are investing in our organization from a time perspective and really becoming our ambassadors within the community that are, I think, giving us an upper hand advantage. And we're just going to keep climbing.
Is there a model based on the number of people? So is there an ideal team size to get you to that number you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, so I always say they, which is hilarious. So when I had but I'll tell you a funny story, not on the subject at all, but when I had my first child, I always told my husband, well, they said we should feed her. And he's like, who is they? And I'm like, Google is they. But so the Association for Healthcare Philanthropy really says there's one FTE per about 75 beds. So when you think about a hospital, that's the infrastructure that we're trying to build because there's just not enough bandwidth. Because we have to be at the patient rooms, we have to fundraise, we have to meet the grateful patients, we have to, go out into the community. So I would what we're forming are these many foundations within the hospitals throughout the West Florida division. So I compare us to Central Foundation. So within the state of Florida, AdventHealth is headquartered in Orlando, and so it's segmented into different divisions. So we have our Central Division and then our West Division. So I oversee the West Division. Our Central Division has been there 20 plus years, and so they're always a good baseline of where we should be, and they have a team of about 60. So we have a lot to go.
Okay. So, yeah, almost, I guess a little over 2 times.
Yes.
So,
but I'll say we're right up there with making the same impact. So that has to tell you something about our community and our team.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to share with our listeners before we wrap it up, Kristen?
No, just really grateful for your time and grateful for this community. Again, born and raised here, and it's just really incredible to be able to represent Tampa Bay and the West Florida division through AdventHealth, but to be able to, again, just to work with really generous people who want to support whatever not-for-profit that they choose. Just really grateful for Tampa Bay.
So if people want to donate or be engaged, how would you recommend they do that?
Yeah. Well, they can reach out to me. So I am very active on LinkedIn, but they, of course, can search us AdventHealth Foundation West Florida. They can come in for a tour. I would love to host. We can do a doc for a day or our annual events. We have our Starlight Gala that's coming up. I think you and your wife are attending.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Good. Very excited. So we have that. We have a fishing tournament and a golf tournament.
And I would love to be a doc for a day, by the way.
Let's do it.
Sign me up.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Kristen, thank you for coming on Money Market.
Thank you so much for having me.
You can find the Money Market Podcast and Bank of Tampa online, as well as on YouTube, LinkedIn, X, Facebook, and on Instagram. Before you leave, make sure you hit that like, follow, subscribe button, and we'll be sure to see you around in the Money Market.